Oh, hello everyone. What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again with the reviews preview show, and yes, part two. And I've got the main guy here, Kevin Campbell. He's the man that he's the host. Everyone. So
So,
Kevin,
so yeah, let me take it away. Let me take it away. Finally, it's here, guys. Midlands Derby at City Ground. Forest against Derby. Listen, the big one, and you know what? There's a lot more riding on this now than there has been for a good few seasons. So let's not wait anymore. Let's say hello to the opposition. Corey, how you doing, Corey, from Derby?
Kevin, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and it's a pleasure to be with you. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's a pleasure to be back with Ben again and Malcolm and Steve. Looking forward to it. Like you say, it's going to be a massive game for lots of different reasons, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But from a Derby perspective, it's an absolutely monumental game tomorrow, and I'm just very excited for Derby to smash Forest.
Hey, I like the confidence, Corey. I like the confidence. Steve, how are you, Steve? You okay, my man?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Kev. Not too bad at all, man. Feeling confident.
Fantastic. What about you, Coach? Are you feeling confident?
I'm feeling top of the world, Kev, and I've got my Lee Wood t-shirt on tonight because we've got a big fight coming up in Nottingham next in March. So yeah, I'm feeling ready for tomorrow, definitely.
You're feeling lethal. And how about you, Mr. Dore? How are you feeling about this game?
you know, I'm feeling great, but now I've got Corey on here. I can banter him and much to count for the next 45 minutes. So I feel great, Kev. I'm excited. I'm buzzing for the game, and yes, you know how that is. I can't wait. I want the game to hurry up, but I'm buzzing like everyone else is.
Fantastic. All right, let me get into this. And I'm going to always refer to Corey first because he is the opposition. So, Corey, tell us a bit about Wayne Rooney and where you are right now as a team, because you've had some unbelievable results. We know where you are league-wise, but head-wise, where are you and the team?
To be honest with you, Kevin, it's all over the place for me all the time. Really, you can go in a Derby perspective. A day seems like a week, and you can be in 10 different mental spaces within a 24-hour time slot. And, you know, you have the incredible high of playing really, really well against Sheffield United. Tom Lawrence skinning them alive, putting two absolutely worldly goals in, and the feeling of that. And then 24 hours later, you find out, you know, that came after the fact that Graham Shinney was sold for £30,000, one of our top midfielders. You have rumors of Jason Knight potentially leaving. Rafa Benitez gets sacked at Everton, which throws everything into a tizzy because, Jesus Christ, is Rooney going to go to Everton? Mm-hmm. We hear that Sky are reporting that Everton's going to approach Derby for a conversation, you know, and then you have the situation where you have the Middlesbrough owner, Stephen Gibson. You have the Wickham owner. They want money off of Derby. Lawsuit, not lawsuit, I don't know. There's lots of different perspectives on that. I've got my own opinions, but we'll probably talk about that a bit later. And then you have the situation where the EFL can revoke Derby's golden ticket to the EFL, English Football League, at the end of the month. So basically Derby have to secure funds because they don't have it. New ownership doesn't want to come in because you've got these pending lawsuits by Gibson and Wickham. So really it's a complete mess right now, but it caught up in all of this, to be honest with you, Kevin. I don't really think it's really been this game from a Derby perspective has been a lot bigger this week because we've had a lot of campaigns. We've had national things on social media to try to get attention to the Derby County thing because the EFL might be playing a little bit of a game of silly buggers here. You don't know how that's going to go over. And then, you know, you've got the big East Midlands Derby, which is kind of, in a strange way, took a back seat to all the other things in the week because of the magnitude of the fact that we might not have a football club in, 10 days?
Yeah. Well, let me just move on to Steve. Steve, let me ask you this, Steve. Do you actually care what's happening at Derby right now?
Oh, you know what? In a perverse kind of way, I do, because although I love to see them suffer, you know, when you're on the brink of going out of existence, I don't want to see any club go out of existence. And this will sound really crazy, but especially Derby, because we need them. We need to love to hate, and yeah. You know, and not just that. You know what? I'm thinking about the times we're in at the minute. You know, the pandemic and everything. And the people affected by that, whether it be Nottingham, Derby, whatever, but in this case it's Derby, business owners who are going to be affected by that, you know, the local publicans and whatever, it's just a massive knock-on effect. So I would love to see them just get relegated, but going out of business, no, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You do need someone to hate. Coach, let's ask you, what's your thoughts on the Derby situation, and is it good? Is it going to matter tomorrow?
Oh, great question, Kev. My thoughts on it. Realistically, I can't see Derby being allowed to go into liquidation. Somebody's going to come in and do something, even if it's this new consortium, Castle, whatever it is in the States, who say that they can fund everything, including the two potential lawsuits. Is Wayne Rooney going to go to Everton? No, realistically not. He's not going to get that gig. It's too early for him. What do I think is going to happen? I think Derby could still be in the Championship next season. That's realistically what I think could happen. Because tomorrow is going to be the two form teams in the league coming head to head, and it's going to be a fantastic game. And the biggest thing that the Forest fans can do is get right behind the team from the off. I know we will, but even more than ever, because Derby have got one particular player that Forest fans love to hate, and if we can just get on his back and get under his skin and stop him from playing, we've got the best chance we'll have tomorrow.
Mr. Dore, let me ask you. You're someone with obviously a vast knowledge of this game. It's a massive derby for both clubs, isn't it? What's your thoughts on what's happening at Derby right now, and what do you want to see from Nottingham Forest tomorrow? Because you won't want Forest players to be reading too much about the poor Derby, do you?
Listen, Kev, when we play Derby, it's always going to be a massive game, and whatever has happened to Derby behind the scenes, like I spoke to Steve about. Steve said it about. Do I want them out? Do I want them to go to creation? No. Do I want them to suffer? Yes. Like I don't want Derby because they're rivals. Yeah. If we don't have Derby, who's going to be rivals? Like we talk about Leicester City, blah blah, but they're not going to be rivals. It's Derby. So, like the fixtures list, the first we talk about is when we got Derby. That's the first we look at, and tomorrow's is a massive game for both of us. Both teams are on form. I've watched Derby, and to be fair, with what's happening behind the scenes, they're doing good on the pitch. And we talk about Rooney going to Everton, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he will. I think he's doing a good job at Derby with the way things are happening. So tomorrow, it's a massive game for both clubs. Like I said, we're reaching close to the playoffs. Derby, now they're at the bottom of the league. And as Malcolm says, do I think they'll get relegated? I want them to get relegated, but they're playing well. So it's a massive game for both clubs, man. But I want to win. I think we'll win.
Well, let me come back to Corey because I've got a question for Corey here that Corey would not usually answer, but I'm going to ask the question. Earlier on in the season, Corey, when Nottingham Forest was struggling, I'm sure you were happy. Where are you now with their resurgence?
To be honest with you, Kevin, I've got a massive amount of respect for Nottingham Forest. They are a massive club as well as Derby are. And to be fair, these two teams really mirror each other. It's weird how closely these teams kind of mirror each other, in different perspectives on and off the field and things like that. And I think, making the change of manager, I know when I came on here last time with Mr. Dore and everything, there was a lot of angst about Chris Hughton, but I don't think you can I don't think you can diminish what Steve Cooper's done. I think they've got a manager that fits right. I think with Dane Murphy coming in, he's starting to make some decent signings, right? Steve Cook, Keenan Davis. Mm-hmm. I know they want to get Jed Wallace as well. They've got Richie Leira from Toronto. Fullback has been a position that they've wanted for a long time. Obviously, they wanted to get Lee Buchanan. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, Forest, you can't deny how well they're doing. And it showed in your old club, Kevin, in the FA Cup game against Arsenal, where they played Arsenal off the pitch. And let's be honest, it wasn't necessarily a weakened Arsenal team. There were probably a couple people there in there that weren't regulars, but it was almost a full strength Arsenal team, maybe 9 solid first team players that were in there. and they played really well. And to be honest, it's the best Nottingham Forest performance I've seen in 5 or 6 years from them. And so, they're definitely a team on the rise. I definitely think that they have the opportunity to potentially get a playoff position. I think it's well within the grasp. I don't think they're necessarily done in the transfer window yet. So it'll be an interesting, 9-10 days for Forest to see if they want to get one more player in, if they do get someone like Jed Wallace in. And it'll be interesting to see what Steve Cooper does again in the summer if they don't go up, because I think now that when you have everybody's starting to pull in the same direction again at Forest, and I'm sure we all know that when you get the front office, the playing staff, the fans, the coaching staff, everybody's pulling in the same direction, that can be incredibly powerful and can add, 1, 2, 5, 10% to performance levels of the players. So, it is great to see from a footballing perspective, taking my Derby hat off and putting on my football fan hat. It is great to see a big club like Nottingham Forest start to be challenging near the top end of the championship, where they arguably should have been challenging for many years. So yeah, Steve Cooper's done an amazing job, and I'm pleased in a way that Forest and the Forest fans, after having been through relegation in League One and all those kind of the weird Fawaz area and all this stuff, are back up challenging to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. So let me get to you, Steve. What's your thoughts on Mr. Cooper, Mark Cooper? Because at the end of the day, under Chris Hughton, the club was stuttering. You weren't going anywhere. And then since he's come in, wow, it's been lift off, hasn't it? What's your thoughts on the manager?
It was just, I think it was a case of the owners realizing they've maybe got it wrong, gone round the same merry-go-round, going down the trusted manager route, the 4-2-3-1, and then just learning from the mistakes, which was great, because it's like football's so knee-jerk. You get it wrong, everyone wants the board out, everyone wants the players out, everything. The board, the Marinakis regime and everything, they've got it right. They've said, I think they've held their hands up and said, right, okay, let's do this different. Let's get a young, innovative manager in. Let's play a different system. It's just a breath of fresh air. And to be fair, I mean, you look at Steve Cooper, what he did at Swansea in 2 seasons, 2 playoffs, and I think he kind of went under the radar. I mean, he really should have been touted by a lot.
For some,
yeah,
Steve, you're right. For some, but there's a lot of people who recognise. Don't forget, he won the World Cup with the under-17s, the Phil Fodens and Jadon Sanchos and all these guys. Rhian Brewster. They won the World Under-17 World Cup.
Yeah,
he was the coach, and then he decided, right, I'm going to go into the Football League. He goes to Swansea. He does an absolutely brilliant job, doesn't he, at Swansea?
Yeah.
But I think his best work is happening right now.
Yeah, I'd agree, and just you can just see it all coming to fruition. I mean, just everything he does. But the thing I like about him most, I won't ramble on, but the thing I like about him most, he's really proactive. You'll know that if a game's not going one way, right, I've got plan B, I've got plan C, and even with the players he's bringing in, the system, it's a breath of fresh air, because we've been used to this rigid system, and and we are Nottingham Forest. We've got 2 stars. Now this is, like you say, you've alluded to there, Kev, with those young players. Mm-hmm. This is a new breed, isn't it? It's a new culture of football, and he's embracing it.
Yeah, Coach. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you've got some youth and experience mixed together now. Is wanting the playoff a bit too much to ask right now, or has that got to be the ultimate goal and Derby are in your way?
Why not? Why not go for it now? We're on a good run of form. We've got some, like you say, a good blend of youth and experience. I mean, the way that Brennan Johnson and Lewis Graben are total opposite the ends of the age spectrum. The way they link up together. We've got Steve Cooking at the back now, giving us a bit of extra, a bit more of the wall at the back, going alongside McKenna, who's been fantastic this season, and Joe Worrell, who's Forest through and through. Why shouldn't we go for it? Sometimes in life you have to act at pace, you have to act at speed, and you have to grasp an opportunity. And this is definitely the best opportunity that Forest have had for probably 10 years of getting somewhere near the playoffs and getting somewhere near the hallowed ground, which is where everybody wants to be, which is the Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get there, it's a totally different matter. But, you know, as Steve said, you know, the thing about Steve Cooper is he puts his trust in the players. And he really, the big thing for me about Cooper is, if you notice, when he comes out before the game, he comes out 2 or 3 minutes before the players do. And he makes it all about the players for when they get on the pitch. So he empowers them to go and do a job. When they go over that white line, they're a totally different set of players to what they were under Houghton. So, you know, if you'd have said to me after 7 games this season, we'd be having this conversation tonight about potentially getting into the playoffs, then I wouldn't have believed it. So why not go for it? Why not grasp the opportunity while you've got it?
Well, let me get to Mr. Dorr. Mr. Dorr, do you think the coaching that Steve Cooper does suits the players better now? And do you actually think it's obviously beating Derby is going to be important? Of course it is. It always is a Derby game. But is there such a bigger picture that you need maybe 1 or 2 more to come in before the end of the window? What's your thoughts on that?
So I said, when you mentioned the system that people plays, like Houghton, he played, like Steve mentioned, 4-2-3-1. And the players wasn't doing with it. Now Cooper's come in, the same players, different vibe. And I mentioned that me and Marco, we've been to nearly all away games. The way we're going to away games thinking we can win.
Yeah.
And we mentioned like the game against Barnsley, Birmingham. Steve Cooper, like it's more going forward. Chris Houghton, I mentioned the Barnsley game was 1-0 down. If that was Chris Houghton, he would have just defended. No disrespect to Chris Houghton, he does what he does. With Steve Cooper, he's come in, and I mentioned Spence. He's been fantastic for us. I know Arsenal after him as well. And Spence has been one of the best players the Forest have now for a long time. He's a lone player. Yeah. And the way the formation, I mentioned Brendan Johnson as well. I can mention all the players, even Jack Colback.
Yeah.
Everyone was, even I can mention, you know what? All the players that we have changed. Different mentality and everything. But the team that is going forward is just fantastic. With players-wise, I think we need at least 2. If we're going to get to the playoffs, like we mentioned, Jed Wallace, good player for the Championship.
Yeah.
If we can get the 2 more players, I think we can make the playoffs. But the season's hard, Kevin, and like I said, we've got Derby next, and if we can get a result against Derby, and then I personally think that we can get a top 6. But I'm not. I said 7th at the start of the season when Cooper come in, but if we get Jed Wallace, I think it's a massive bonus for us.
Yeah, he's a good player. So Corey, let's get to you. Listen, I think Derby have been showing some real fight. They've been getting some real good results. You must be pretty confident about this Derby team going in against your local rivals, because let's be honest, they have gone away from home and got results just as much as they have at home.
Yeah, they have. And Kevin, it's been phenomenal, really, the way this Derby team has progressed throughout the season. You know, we all know about what happened in the closed season with the transfer embargoes, the limiting of the players, and all those kind of things. And I think every time that Derby's been knocked down or kicked down or punched in the gut, they've gotten straight back up. When you look at it, you know, Ben just mentioned it there. You talked about mentality. Derby have gone to negative points twice this season, and within 1 game was able to reverse that back to 0. That's the mentality of this group of players. And it very much is a us versus them mentality. I think Rooney's got him into the dressing room. He's sitting there. I mean, it's not like it's a big dressing room now with the amount of senior pros that are in the team, right? So we can pretty much sit them all down in a room and say, look, whatever goes on outside of these walls, you can't control, but we can control what we can do. And what we're seeing from this Derby team is something we've not seen for several years with, well, at least in the last couple of seasons, with the way that they're willing to fight and fight and grind out results for one another and play for the badge on the shirt, which is what, you know, that's an old footballing cliche, but, you know, Derby fight for every ball. And is this squad limited in comparison to squads of previous years? Yeah, it probably is. But they have that mentality. They have that heart and that grit that's going to give you that 5 or 10% extra. to be able to go out there and win football matches. I mean, we have, to be honest, we've got a very good mix of, they've got some pretty old players with Curtis Davis and Richard Stearman. I mean, hell, we had Phil Jagielka up until 10 days ago.
Yeah.
He was 39, but so we've got some experienced players in there, but we also have some young players that are coming through that are going to be very, very good footballers, hopefully at Derby, but if not, they'll definitely be somewhere else. And so, yeah, it's phenomenal to see this group of players pick up results and do things. And I think when Derby sit here as Forest have, Derby sat here and played every team except for Cardiff, right? So they've played everybody except for Cardiff. And I think out of so far this half season, I can only really remember 1 or 2 games where Derby's been completely outclassed. They've been in every game so far. They've fought in every game. They've had opportunities to win every game. Goal scoring is a little bit of an issue, but defensively we're fantastic. We've got one of the best defensive records in the league. I think in the form table, we're near the top of the form table currently. We've not lost 5. There's just so many different things. It's even little things that Rooney's done in terms of pulling off Ravel Morrison and Colin Cassian Richards, removing them from the starting lineup, playing Liam Thompson, playing Luke Plange, and then bringing on Ravel and CKR in an impact. And it's played really well dividends when you can see CKR's goal return the last couple of games. And Ravel has had more of an impact in the last few weeks coming off the bench as what he had done previously. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I could be more happy. I don't think I could be more excited for this group of players to continue to do what they're doing because, it's testament that they took 21 points off of Derby County, the EFL have, but Derby's not even bottom of the table anymore. So, again, that's another step. Winning against Sheffield took us off the foot of the table. That's another mental step to take in the progression. It looks like, from my perspective, the 9-point deduction has really impacted Reading. They've lost a goalkeeper. They've lost Andy Carroll. John Swift, I don't think, wants to play for him anymore. So it looks like the bottom's fallen out of that boat. And, I saw in the comments that Lisa was saying that, this is one of the weaker championships in a long time. So it's there for the taking if Derby wanted. And right now I know that mathematically it's implausible. It's not impossible. It's implausible because you're looking at maybe losing 2 or 3 games from now until the end of the season with a very limited squad, and you're assuming no injuries or suspensions. And we know football, it throws out curveballs. But if there's a year to do it, you could do it. And I'm very much, until there's not mathematical chance, I'm going to firmly believe that they can, because I've not seen anything yet that tells me that they can't do it. This group of players can do the impossible. And I'm so excited that we've gotten the group in that we do because of the characters that we have in this squad. It's just fantastic to see.
That's fantastic. So let me get to you, Steve. Let's start to get the Derby hat on. What's your thoughts when you wake up tomorrow? What's the first thing you're going to be thinking of about this game? Win at all costs, or is it the performance?
When you say Derby hat, am I doing it from a Derby perspective here, Kev? Or
no, the game. Forget. I know you're a Forest man. I'm talking about the game. Come on.
Well, for me personally, I get a bit swayed because I commentate at the ground. So
right.
So first and foremost, my focus is
Kevin. This was Steve. He likes to dodge the question. He's like a PM.
Don't worry, Mr. Dore. He won't dodge this one. Trust me.
He does it every single time.
Come on, Steve.
All right. Okay. Right. Let's cut to the chase. So, as a fan, not a commentator, it's. You know what? This one's just got something special about it. It's got a little bit of spice in it.
Spice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something different about this, and I'm buzzing about it. And, it could go anyway. And I tell you what concerns me. It doesn't worry me. I'm going to choose my words carefully here. Not worried, concerned. But Derby's, it's that siege mentality, isn't it? It's like, I'll give you an example, Kev. I'm going to throw it back on you.
No, you're not, Steve. Oh, no, you're not, Steve. I'm the host here. And I'm going to tell you right now. I've asked you the question, and you're still waffling me. What's the first thing you think about when you wake up tomorrow? Is it you want it to be a good game as a performance, or is it I want Forest to win at all costs?
Obviously, Forest win at all costs, isn't it?
Right. Now you could say what you want to say. Now you can say what you want to say, Steve.
You know what? You're a hard taskmaster, man. You're a hard host. You really
I
are.
am.
Kevin, I have the same problem. Every time we go on the show, he has I have the same problem.
You got to focus him. Yeah, focus him.
You know what he does? He calls me the politician. I like swerve the questions and go.
Yeah, I've noticed you're a good politician, Steve. You're a good. Let me ask, Coach. What's the first thing you think of when you wake tomorrow? Obviously, the nerves are going to be there when you wake up. That's for sure. Is it you want the team to perform, or is it just win at all costs?
Win at all costs. Absolutely. That's the only thing that matters. I don't care whether we score in the first minute or the 96th minute. As long as we win, it can be 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-2, 5-2, 5-2. That'd be nice again, wouldn't it? Whatever we do, I don't care what the performance is, we've got to win. That's the first thing I'll be thinking of when I wake up in the morning.
What about you, Mr. Dore? And I know you are entrenched of Nottingham Forest. Is it the performance tomorrow, or is it that result?
Result. Win. I don't care if Derby play fantastic for the next 89th minute and we score in the 92nd. Like it's just a sitter.
Yeah.
We scored 2 goals late. Win.
Yeah, good example.
I know Derby been great for the last 4 games in the league, but we win. That's all that matters. We can play rubbish. I think how many matches we played rubbish? Like Millwall match, we wasn't great, but we won and we scored in the 91st minute. So, Kevin, we want to win. Enough said.
Win at all costs.
Because if we lose, Corey's gonna message me and see everything. So. Win.
So let me ask Corey. Corey, when you wake up tomorrow, what's the first thing in your head? Is it you want Derby to perform, or is it you want Derby to win? Just get that result in.
First thing I'm going to think about, Kevin, is what the hell am I having for breakfast? Because it's 7:30 in the morning, and I don't know whether to have frosted flakes.
Nonsense, Corey. Nonsense. You're going to be thinking about the game before you eat. Come on.
Well, the game will be my second thought after my human need of eating frosted flakes. It's definitely about the result. I think with the way Derby is set up now, like I just said, there's very few margins for error in terms of you have to pick up points. You want to be able to stay mathematically alive to get out of this mire as long as you can. And you can only do that by picking up results. Mm-hmm. I don't think a point's not going to help Derby at all. You have to go for 3. I prefer to either win or lose rather than a draw, to be honest with you. And like Dore said, it's all about the result. I don't care if Forest play us on Park, which is just not going to happen. But nevertheless, I don't care if they play us for whatever. Derby pop one in the last minute, kind of like a Chris Martin a couple years ago when the guy jumped in the trend.
Corey. You're not beaten for 4 years. Come on, think about it.
He's poking the bear. He's poking the bear.
The thing is, you got to win sometime. So why not now? Why not us? But yeah, I think Kevin, to answer your question, you got to go for the win in these games. It doesn't matter how it does it, because I'm sure Kevin, with your long career, winning breeds confidence. Confidence brings more winning, and that's how you get out of it is you win, because you don't get second. Football is about winning, and there's no second prize if you don't win. You have to win, and you got to win. And I don't care if we win ugly, win pretty. I don't care if it's 1-0 or 5-0 again. It doesn't really make a difference to me as long as Derby leave the city ground with 3 points. That I'm going to be chuffed to bits.
Steve, you heard him there. He's that confident he's going to have his frosted flakes before he thinks about the game. Steve,
I'm not going to be worried about Nottingham Forest.
You see, he's setting you up. He's setting you up, Steve. Who's the man that on their side that you have to stop, Steve? Who's the one player on their side you think we've got to keep an eye on him?
Do you know what? I think it's what Corey said earlier on. The people I worry about on the Derby side are who they've got on the bench. When they keep the powder dry, and you got like Colin, Kazim Richards, that experience. Yeah. Just them impact players. they're the ones that worry me most. And we saw Kazim Richards do it to us a couple of seasons back with a screamer. So yeah, they would be the ones for me. Straight answer, nice straight answer for you. No messing around. No politics.
I love that, Steve. I love that. What about you, Coach?
Tom Lawrence.
Who's the players? Sorry?
Tom Lawrence.
Tom Lawrence.
Because he's in such good vein of form at the moment. I think the Forest fans 10 seconds in will be on at him with banter, and if there's 25,000 Forest fans chanting at him and singing, he might just go back in his shell like he has done the last couple of times he's been down at Forest. So that's what I was referring to earlier about we've got a big part to play in this tomorrow, because if we let him control that part of the field where he plays, coming in off the right wing and cutting onto his left and putting shots in from distance. I mean, we've got the best goalkeeper in the Championship, but we don't want to be peppering him with shots. So, we've got to do a job on him for sure.
Yeah, you shut him.
Well, I didn't realize Ryan Allsop played for Nottingham Forest. Sorry.
The thing is, if you shut him down, you have a better chance, don't you? That's for sure. Yeah. Mr. Daw, who's the Derby player who you think we got to shut him down?
I think what Steve said, because Richardson, he's a threat. Because I watched the game against Reading, and when he come on, I thought he was brilliant. Yeah. And I think when he scored against Derby at Pride Park, how old is he? 36, Corey? 35, 36, and he's still got it. And I think that's the type of player we've got to watch. But we've got a good defence. I think we've got a fantastic defence in Steve Cook, as well, McKenna and Worrell. So if he comes on, if he starts, if we can keep him quiet, I think Forest win. I know they've got Lawrence as well. He's a threat, and they've got the Polish guy. Who's the Polish guy, Corey?
Campbell Jóźwiak, yes. That's
it, Jóźwiak. He's a good player as well. So if we can keep them two players quiet, as well as Richardson, then I think Forest will win. Because they're the players we're going to watch, but Kazim Richards, he's the man that I'm more scared of than anything.
Right. Corey, who do you fear in the Nottingham Forest team?
If I'm honest, Kevin, nobody, to be honest with you.
What?
I tell you what, this guy is...
Listen to this.
Corey.
I think for me, there's three main players that stand out for me in terms of threats. One, obviously, is Keenan Davis, because he has a big physical presence. We saw him in his debut against Arsenal. He played really, really well. Is the goal threat there for the Championship? We don't know, because he doesn't have a track record of scoring goals. So hopefully he doesn't have a track record tomorrow. That can continue. But he looks a big physical presence. He looks like he's a bit of a handful. But then it's also going to be interesting with the wingbacks, I think, for Nottingham Forest. Jed Spence, we know he's in fantastic form. We know the Premier League clubs want him. He probably won't be at Forest next season. It's not to be rude or anything, but he will probably get a big money move to mid to upper Premier League table, because that's the level he's playing at. And then it'll be interesting on the other side if they go with Jack Colback, or they do give, I don't know if Richie Relay has already played or not, if he's already made his debut, if they'll be interesting to play the lad from Toronto. But I do think if the wingbacks push up for Forest, that Derby can exploit that in some ways, because Derby do have a lot of pace down the width. When we mentioned Campbell Jóźwiak, Festia Basele on the other side, lightning quick pace. Final ball needs some help, but lightning quick once he gets to the 18-yard box. And then obviously we've got Nathan Byrne at fullback as well, who likes to get down the line and get the ball in as well. So it'll be an interesting battle, I think, tactically from a fullback perspective and from a wide player perspective, because if Derby's wide players can push on and really push back Forest's wings backs, I think Derby will have a real chance. But if they don't, the wing backs really, really scare me for Derby, especially with Keenan Davis in the middle.
Corey, what's your score prediction on this one?
5-0 Derby, as always. I mean, I always come here and predict 5-0.
Clip that, Mr. Daw, you can clip that. Clip it.
Predict winning.
He does this. No, Kev, he does this all the time. No, what? Come here, I'm doing this bet again. I'm doing this bet. Come on, let's do this bet again.
What, where you wear a Speedo when Derby win? No, I mean, Kevin, I think when I look at it, if I look at it as a Derby fan, I'm gonna have to say 2-0 to the Rams. I think they're due a goal. I think that there's an opportunity there. Forest has been on a good run, and I do think that all good runs have to come to an end. So why not tomorrow? Might as well, heck, be against your biggest rivals. But I think if I look at it from a footballing perspective, I can see a surprisingly I can see a surprisingly open game, if that makes sense, but not an open game, but not a lot of goal chances. If that makes sense, I think there'll be a lot of attacks and things like that because I think that the midfields are very strong. I think the fullbacks are very strong and both defenses are very strong. Where I think both teams kind of suffer is up front in attack. If obviously Keenan Davis, we know that Lewis Graben has got a goal record, so he can sit on the bench as can CKR after until about the hour mark. So I think it'll be a really, really interesting match, and I think. Like I said, from a Derby perspective, 2-0, but from a footballing perspective, 2-0 Derby.
Listen, he's lighting the touch paper here, Steve. Steve, what do you say for prediction,
Steve,
mate?
You know what you want to say, Steve. You know what you're going to say.
Yeah, and it's the complete opposite to you, Corey.
Your opinion is wrong.
Do you know what? I'll stick my neck out. I'm going to say we're going to fall behind. I'll say we'll get outplayed for long periods, and somehow we're going to swing it around and win 2-1.
When will the winner go in? 89th minute, Steve, for you?
Oh, 92nd. Just to skewer that knife in.
Well, we know what Steve's dreaming about tonight. He's dreaming about Chris Martin coming in, popping a header in.
Oh,
he can't get that out of his head.
Oh no.
Don't mention Chris Martin to me, man.
The coach, what's your score prediction for this one?
My heart says 3-0 Forest, and my head says 1-1. I think I'd like to think we can win, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher than a lot of people are expecting. And 1-1 is last 4 or 5 games have been 1-1. So it's there's normally an early goal. Depends who gets the early goal. Normally, if Forest get an early goal, we go on and win it. If Derby get an early goal, then it's not very good for us. Mm-hmm. But I think we're not going to lose tomorrow. Definitely not going to lose. So 3-0. My heart says 3-0. You're
going to go with your heart. I love that.
Got to go with my heart, Kev.
Love that. So we got a 2-1. We got a 2-0 for Corey. Away win. Mr. Dore, what's your prediction?
Do I have to do a prediction? I always do it an hour before the game.
No. You only do it when you see what the team lineup is, Dore.
See, Dore, you have to do it because you're not the host.
Exactly. There you go.
Okay, right. My head says...
It can change tomorrow, by the way. It can change tomorrow, but this is for the show.
Full-time whistle.
Okay, my head says 2-1 Forest. My heart says 4-0 Forest. No, 4-1, because I think Derby will score. I always said Derby will score. But I'll say 2-1 Forest. 2-1 Forest, I'm going for it.
You're going 2-1 Forest. So
yeah,
there's... I'm gonna go 2-1 Forest as well, because I just think, Corey, Forest have serious momentum. They're at home. The 12th man's going to be involved. I know there's going to be a load of Derby fans there.
There's only going to be 12 men in the City Ground? That's weird.
But the 12th man is gonna prove to be, because you know what? There's a lot of young players on both teams, but there's a lot of young players in the Derby side. Some of them will be probably their first big Derby game at the City Ground. And it's going to be noisy, and it's going to be vocal, it's going to be boisterous. All the boys are going to be out for that one. So, and should I say, some of the girls are going to be out for that one as well. So I just think, listen, it wouldn't surprise me if it went the other way either, because I know Derby under Rooney have got some steel in them. But I think Nottingham Forest might just take it just because of momentum. That's all.
I definitely agree with you, Kevin, and I think that you're dead on. I think this game could swing either way based off of those fine margins that we talk about, whether it's a red card or a refereeing decision. How many times have we seen a free kick or a non-call and it changes the momentum of the game? So it'll be a really interesting battle. I think tactically, with both teams in really good form. We would say form goes out the window, but we only say that when one team's in form and one team's out of form. Let's be honest.
Right, but both teams are in form.
Banging form.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a really interesting game, and all I can hope for is that it will be an open game and it will be an exciting attacking game because that's what football's about at the end of the day.
Here's a question. I'm going to ask you first, Corey, and then I'm going to ask the guys. Whose bench is better? Is it Derby's bench or is it Nottingham Forest bench?
I would get. if they start with CKR and Ravel Morrison on the bench, I think Derby have a bit more on the bench, to be honest with you. I know Forest obviously have Lewis Graben. That I'm very well aware of that fact, and I'm aware of the fact that he's carved out a very good career for himself in the championship. For one reason, he's just like you, Kevin. He's a goal scorer. He scores goals. He knows where the onion bag is. But I think that Derby really, when they put the bench out, they know which 14 players are probably going to play in the game, maybe 15 at a stretch. In terms of that's what we're kind of dealing with. They know their roles. They know the way that they're gonna set up. And so I think with that, and working with the smaller squad and everybody understanding their roles and knowing when the subs are going to come on and the situations that they're going to come in, I think that the Derby probably have a slightly stronger bench than Forest at this moment in time.
Okay. Steve, would you agree with that, Steve?
Unfortunately, yeah, and only because of experience. I think probably talent-wise, maybe Forest bench maybe just edges it. I mean, you had Zinkernagel on the bench and everything last week, but just what we're saying, big game players, Kazim Richards, Morrison. Yeah, maybe just on experience, and that would be my answer.
The coach, what do you think? Is Derby's bench a little bit better than Forest?
I think we're quite evenly matched. I think we've probably got a bit more skill in our bench, but I think they've probably got a bit more directness, if that makes sense. They've probably got, like Corey said, and Steve said, they've got more experience than us on their bench potentially, depending on what the lineups are. But it doesn't worry me.
Right. And Mr. Dore, what's your thoughts on the benches? Is Derby's stronger than Forest?
I've got to slightly agree with Corey, to be fair, because like I said, on our bench against Millwall, we have Zegnil on the bench. And who else did we have on the bench, Malcolm? We didn't have
Cafu.
Cafu. Cafu. Yeah, Figueiredo's not been great. Cafu, he's been, what can I say? He played good one game and he'll go missing.
He's inconsistent, is he? He's inconsistent.
Yeah. So if Derby got like Morrison, he's class when he is on his game, and as well because Kazim Richards. We've got a good bench, but when it comes to skill wise, I think we've got it. We'll take the edge of it. But to be fair, I'll say Derby a little bit, but I think
Ben, we've got quite a lot of diversity on our bench, haven't we? Because you think we've got Paraguayan international on there as well. Ojeda, he was on the bench last week as well. You got Zinkernagel, who came on and made the goal for Graben. So I think we've got a bit more diversity on our bench than Derby have. But
let me play devil's advocate. The game's tied. You're looking for a goal. You're looking for a goal scorer. Who have we got as a goal scorer coming off our bench? We've got Lyle Taylor. I ain't confident. Although he did it at Bristol City, they've got Richards. So that would be
Graben might be on the bench. So Steve.
He
might be.
You said that he might start. He was interested. Yeah, that's been touted around. That's a good point. That he might start with Davis and use all the hold-up play, and then
energy, all that type of thing, and then when it comes on, opens up. Done it against Arsenal, didn't you?
Exactly.
You keep that energy high, and then you bring on the sniper, and he came up with the goal.
The thing with Keenan Davis.
If he does that, then
The thing with Keenan Davis is he's not going to score you 10 goals a season, I don't think, at this level. But what he's going to do is going to beat up a whole load of defenders, wear him out. I mean, last week at Millwall, he ran himself into the ground. He was holding the ball up, turning, driving at defenders, and he really buttered them up. And the second half, the last 20 minutes, we were really good. And that's the sort of dimension that Keenan Davis brings to the game. So it may be that we start with 5 midfield and Zinkernagel starts in midfield tomorrow, or even Cafu as a holding midfielder. And then what happens is 15, 20 minutes to go, we bring Grabs on. Davis has softened them up.
Sniper comes on for the kill.
Yeah.
Just it's like with those big unit players. The good thing about this, Kev, when you're under the cosh and you ping the ball up to them, they give you that breathing space.
It sticks.
Yeah. It sticks. You Chris Sutton's your elbow man. They allow the rest of the team to get out.
That's vital. That's especially against Derby. Derby are very good at the back, as you know. You need somebody who can hold the ball up because you know what? Curtis Davis has been an ex-teammate of mine, etc. They're pretty good at the back and they know what they're doing. They're experienced. They're tough. So you need someone up there who can be physical. But you know what, guys? I've asked Corey all the questions and he's going for Derby. I've asked you guys and you're going for Forest. So you know what I think it is? I think it's 1-2-3-1 to Forest right now. Sorry, Corey, it's 3-1. It's 3-1 to Derby.
Kevin, I would
It's
just like
3-1
say,
to Forest. You've got 2-0 to Derby. It's going to be a cracking game tomorrow.
And Kevin, if you ever want to give up your to give up your hosting duties, feel free to pop down to Pride Park because I'm sure you would lower the average age of the squad. So feel free, tie up your boots.
Hey,
You know we're playing tomorrow. Put that number 9 shirt on and bag one for the Rams.
Listen, no, you must be dreaming in your breakfast. You must be asleep
That's
in your
what I'm dreaming
breakfast.
about tonight, Kevin. You banging them in from 40 yards.
Well, you must be dreaming in your breakfast in the morning. Trust me. But guys, listen, I can't thank you enough. Thanks for having me on, Mr. Dore. For hosting these guys. Corey, thank you so much, man, for coming on. Steve, Coach, and Mr. Dore, as always, you guys have always been fantastic. And everybody who's joined us in chat, you know, what do you think? Whether you're a Derby fan or you're a Forest fan, what do you think about? What's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? Is it win at all costs, or do you want the team really to perform? You know, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
All I'm going to say is, Malcolm, don't forget your wallet. That's all I'm going to say, Malcolm. Don't forget your wallet.
There, I'm ready. I'm ready, Ben.
Brilliant.
Right. Is that it, people? Like I said, people, it's been a pleasure. Kevin, you've been a fantastic host as well.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Lovely to meet you, Corey. Lovely, Steve. Coach, I know you, and Mr. Dore, no problem. It's my pleasure. And everybody watching, thank you very much, man.
Thanks for coming on and taking it easy on me. And Ben, thanks for having me back on and everything like that. Steve, great to talk to you again. And Coach, great to meet you for the first time as well. And, you know, like I said, it's an East Midlands Derby day. So it's thoroughly enjoyable. And hopefully, let's just hope and fingers crossed.
Come on, the Forest! That's what we're talking about. Come on!
It's not the last one ever.
Never mind all that. I finished hosting now. Come on, Forest!
Kevin, I'll leave you with this before we all go.
No, I don't want to hear it, Corey. Come on, Forest! Come on!
It's been a pleasure. Like I said, everyone, thank you very much. I say, King Kev, thank you very much. The coach, Malcolm, as well. He's been a legend. Corey, thank you as well. Steve, Corey as well. Thank you. But like I said, make a big game tomorrow. And people, if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the video, and people. Corey, before we go, can you give me up the red before we go?
I'm not going to do that, then. It's just not going to happen because I can't lie to your viewers.
Well, people, it's been a pleasure. Kevin, Coach, Stephen, Corey, thank you. Peace and love. I look the red.
Come on, you Rams!
You Rams!